Let's take a look at what's been going on at Eagles camp so far. What's going on, folks? This is Coach Marcus for Pro Fan Talk. Eagles camp is getting hot and heavy, and we're getting one day closer to our first preseason game and one day closer to cut day. First order of business, had our first injury scare with Patrick Johnson getting carted off the field with a leg injury. Turns out it wasn't that serious. N'Kobe Dean got dinged up. Bradbury got dinged up. They didn't practice next day, but they were considered fine. But this is the reason why I will reiterate, pump your brakes on all of the hype until we get through preseason. You never know what's going to happen, and we got to get through preseason healthy. Nolan Smith continues to shine in camp. He was even moved to a 4-eye technique and is still making plays off the ball. He is establishing himself as the leader of this rookie class. Most people thought it was going to be Jalen Carter, but Nolan Smith has stepped up and has been the default leader of all the rooks this year in camp. With his speed and athletic ability, he will be a wild card on defense. That means Desai is going to be able to move him wherever he wants, depending on what package he's using. The obvious comparison would be with Micah Parsons. This might come into play with our questionable depth at linebacker, so we'll see what happens. If Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis offer any pressure in the middle, offenses are going to have a hard time establishing their protection. We should have pressure on every front. Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat, Neil Williams, Fletcher Cox, Brendan Graham. Then you add all of these new rookie threats, and opponents are going to have a problem with our defensive line. Reed Blankenship is solid as free safety. Enough said. The rest of our secondary is solid. We've got young depth. I'm very interested to see how Sidney Brown and Keely Ringo perform during preseason games. Practice has been okay, but I really want to see him up against somebody else in a different color uniform. And by the way, Kayvon Wallace is going nowhere. He's been having a great camp, and he is waiting to get his opportunity to step into that number one spot. So we'll see how this works out. You guys already know I am very high on N'Kobe Dean and Christian Ellis, and we'll have to wait to see in-game situations how that looks and how that turns out, especially before you can form a legitimate opinion on our linebackers. But our linebacker core is probably the biggest X factor on defense so far. That and Sean Desai. On offense, Jalen Hurts threw his first interception in camp on Friday, courtesy of Big Play Slay. He had been having an otherwise stellar camp, hadn't thrown too many interceptions, but Slay got him on this one, going into the red zone, and he even caught an earful from Nick Sirianni. So it's not like Jalen Hurts has been 100%. He's having his issues, but for the most part, he's had a great camp. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith have been as expected, and Quez Watkins, surprisingly, is having a good camp. I shouldn't say surprisingly. I don't know what people expect. I didn't jump in that bandwagon that everybody is down on him. Just look at the tape. He didn't come up big in some big moments, but that's last year. That's in the past. I'll take the 6-foot wide receiver with 4.3 speed with a chip on his shoulder. That's who I want to see play. So he's been having a good camp. So it'll be interesting to see how this competition ramps up for wide receiver 3 during the preseason. Who's going to get the touches in preseason? If you remember last year, Deion Kane, many people thought he should have made the team over Watkins last year. Didn't make the squad, goes to the USFL, becomes the MVP in the USFL, comes back and he's got another opportunity. As a veteran of the World League, I'm pulling for Deion Kane. I'm pulling for Charleston Rambo of the USFL. I want to see these young brothers get a shot to try to make this roster, so we'll see what's going to happen. Cam Jurgens looks like he's going to anchor that right guard position. He backs up Kelsey at center, but most of his snaps have been at right guard in camp. So it looks like that's where it's going to be, putting him right next to Lane Johnson, and we'll see what he's going to do. You only hear about offensive linemen when they let a sack through, so no news is good news. Our running back room is still crowded, but it seems like DeAndre Swift is going to be the guy. Gainwell is logical number 2 for now, and the guy for 2-minute drills for now. Right now, who's going to fill the rest of the way? You got Boston Scott, Rashad Penny, you got Trey Sermons. I have no idea how all of those touches are going to get dispersed through the preseason, but we'll see. We'll see what they're going to do. One of those guys is going to have to play special teams, and that's the one big question mark that remains this year, our special teams. Our special teams unit was god-awful last year under Coach Mike Clay, so at least we know what not to do. But for right now, Britton Covey is still our main returner, so we'll see how much better he's gotten with returns and coverages during the preseason games. We'll see what we get is it's like kick returns don't happen no more. So basically it's all on punt returns. So let's see if Britton Covey's gotten any better than he did last year. Last year, towards the end of the year, he started performing a little bit better with the punt returns. But for the most part, I didn't think it was a very good job. So let's see how much he's learned in the offseason. As we get closer to the first round of cuts, the preseason performances are going to make and break players' chances of making this roster. So we'll see how they divvy up this time, because they don't really hit and bang in camp. They do a lot of mental reps though, but still you want to see what somebody's going to do against full contact. For the most part, I need to see what they're going to do game time situation against a different color jersey. That's where you get to see what you need to see. That's where the big eye in the sky don't lie. So we are one step closer. I'm excited. Let's get this season started. If you like this content, please hit that subscribe button, click that notification bell, and I will see you in the next play. Peace.